Today we take a trip back to 1967 and the U.S. Open Championship at the Baltusrol Golf Club from Springfield, New Jersey. In the 1960s, golf was about two names, Palmer and Nicklaus, both of whom dominated the early half of the decade, winning a combined 13 majors through 1966. 67 proved to be no exception, as Arnie and Jack accounted for 3 tournament wins and a host of top 5 finishes going into the United States Open in early June. Now, the national championship was returning to Baltusrol for a record 5th time, and with the Palmer-Nicklaus rivalry in full bloom, fan interest couldn't have been any higher. The first U.S. Open held at Baltusrol was in 1903, when the national championship was a mere 9 years old. The top prize, $200. Willie Anderson held off a fellow Scot named David Brown in a playoff to win his second of a record-tying 4 Open titles. In the 67 championship, Palmer and Nicklaus both got off to strong starts. They stood first and second on the leaderboard. But when both former champions struggled in the third round, the door opened for an amateur by the name of Marty Fleckman, who took a one-stroke lead. Fleckman was threatening to join Jerome Travers, the 1915 winner, as yet another amateur champion at Baltusrol. Nicklaus quickly put those aspirations to rest, making 5 birdies on the front 9 to take a commanding lead. Meanwhile, Arnie, playing with a sore right hip, struggled to keep up with the Golden Bear. Now, let's join announcers Chris Schenkel and Byron Nelson as they recap front 9 action from the final round of the 1967 U.S. Open Championship.
Palmer's putt for a birdie 2 earlier on the 4th hole.
Palmer is really wanting needing a putt at this point. He's played beautifully, but has not been able to hold many of these putts in this championship, and this is no exception. He goes by a little bit. The hole doesn't show there, but he's skidded past the hole a little bit.
The very same 2 men that when Jack Nicklaus won the Open Championship in 1962, he won it by defeating Arnold Palmer in a playoff.
Yes, that was a great playoff at Oakmont in Pennsylvania. A very great golf course, and 2, of course, of the all-time great players.
Very little wind here today. It is hot and humid. It is overcast, some threat of showers.
Now, you know, it's Arnie taking the practice putt here. He has this putt for a par 3, keeping the putter real smooth and real low to the ground. In 3, starting with all first 4 holes, all pars. Now this is Nicklaus' putt for a birdie 2 that will start him on the surge, in which he is still doing at this moment.
Made it look very easy.
It looks easy when they go in that way, Chris.
And the fact that he's using a metal putter, a rocker putter painted white, will cause most everybody watching our telecast to immediately start painting their putters white.
Yes. This is the next group now playing immediately behind. Here's Billy Casper on the 4th tee, defending champion. He hooks the ball into the trap, left of the green. Billy was playing absolute super golf yesterday up until the 15th hole, and then he said he lost his concentration. Another great picture of this hole, and he finished in 3 bogeys in the last 4 holes, which is rather an unusual thing for Billy to do, because he's one of the steadiest players on the tour.
And at the moment, he is trailing the leader, Jack Nicklaus, by 4 strokes. Byron?
Yes, that is a big lead for Jack. Now you see Marty Fleckman getting ready to play to the 4th green.
Of course, this happened a little earlier as Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer are playing the 11th hole. Billy Casper is out there, all the contenders, and when they come into our camera range at the 13th hole, we'll be bringing you all the action live and in color. And later, the folks in Great Britain will have an opportunity to see our telecast live and in color on the satellite, and a delayed telecast to Japan.
Yes, he hooks this ball. Watch the people move. He hooks the ball back into the crowd, over the trees, and into the crowd. He started off very shaky today, but it's a difficult job to lead this championship for a man who's never even played any before. This is the 2nd round that he has led this tournament.
And, of course, having led after 54 holes, made him the first amateur to have accomplished that since Johnny Goodman did it in 1933.
It's an odd thing that the last Now look at this shot. He has to place down over this high bank. Pin cut very close to him. The pin is very close to that back edge of the green. He's under the tree. But as you see, he played it very beautifully. Left the ball, as you can see, about 12 feet from the hole. Very well executed and played shot.
Marty Fleckman, 54-hole leader, starting out shaky today. He did 2 of the previous 3 rounds.
Billy Casper, you see, playing out of the sand trap, stopped the ball very quickly. His bunker play here has been exceptionally good, though. He likes this sand. Some of the boys say it's a little very light, and the ball comes out fast. But Casper has played the ball very, very well.
And he, like the other 66 or 65 players today, have raved considerably about Baltusrol. Split screen, you see Fleckman on the left, and on the right, Jack Nicklaus at 5, Fleckman at 3.
Fleckman need this for par. As you saw, he got it. That set him down considerably. Now then you see Nicklaus putting here for a birdie on the 5th hole now. This will be the 2nd birdie in a row for Nicklaus. There he goes.
Birdies at 3, 4, and 5 for Jack Nicklaus, and 7 in the last 12 holes, counting yesterday's 2 finishing holes at 17 and 18. Now Billy Casper.
You know, when birdies start coming, they come in bunches, Chris. So Casper missed his putt and giving him a bogey 4 on the 4th hole.
A little earlier, Ben Hogan finished 72 holes of play. He is in at 12 over par with a round today of 72. From Baltusrol Golf Club here in Springfield, New Jersey, the 67th United States Open continues after this message.
Marfa-Lump! Are you downstairs again, honey?
Oh, not now, Ma. I gotta get out of here. I'm late. Oh, joy! Look out! Gotcha! Down in front. I'm not worthy. Oops. Sorry.
There comes a point when one more sequin will ruin the dress. When one more brushstroke will spoil the painting. There comes a point when anything more is simply more. Park Avenue by Buick. Power, comfort, unparalleled elegance. And now, Park Avenue is even more rewarding. It's luxury, pure and simple.
I believe in miracles. Where you from? You sexy thing, you. Where did you come from, baby?
The crispy, juicy chicken sandwich at Burger King. It might not be a miracle, but at just 99 cents, you gotta admit, it is kinda sexy.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
Now you can get weekend calls for 2.5 cents a minute with Sprint 1000. Because there's never enough time during the week, Sprint has the new weekend plan that's just right for people who need all weekend to talk. Call now and switch to Sprint 1000. You'll get 1,000 weekend minutes of calls every month for just $25. That's as little as 2.5 cents a minute. Think of the possibilities. He works in Washington. She works in Washington. He's booked all week. She's booked all week. Now getting together all weekend is so simple. Just switch to Sprint before June 30th and start getting your weekend calls for as little as 2.5 cents a minute. From midnight Friday to the late show on Sunday. Who says people in Washington are out of touch? Call 1-877-4-WEEKENDS or visit Sprint.com. Get weekend calls for as little as 2.5 cents a minute.
The hair is big, The tube socks are high and the action is down and dirty.
Can you dig it?
All the moves are on ESPN Classic, roller derby style.
Ouch.
Right on. The forces of good versus some bad.
Shut your mouth.
So join the pack for a crash course in old school. I'm talking roller superstar.
You said it.
Friday and Saturday late nights only on ESPN Classic. Baby, it's Dynamite.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
We're back at the United States Open at the Baltusrol Golf Club in Springfield, New Jersey, and this is action now on the 11th hole. You are seeing, as I believe Chris mentioned earlier, more action than we or anybody else has ever been able to show you in a major golf championship because of the tremendous number of color cameras we have around the course. Now, Arnold Palmer has put a shot in the rough, I believe, on the 11th hole there. And there you see the leaders. Jack Nicklaus -2 now. Arnold Palmer 3 shots back at +1. Then we have Lee Trevino, Don January, and Bill Casper. And just a moment ago, we saw Dean Beeman get a birdie at the 13th. He has moved into a tie with Arnold Palmer. This is the 11th green. Jack Nicklaus wearing the eye shade that he has adopted in recent months. Arnold Palmer bareheaded as usual. I walked in this gallery for a while earlier today, by the way, and I've been in a lot of Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus's galleries. I've never seen one with the tremendous enthusiasm and vitality to it that this one has. The usual signs of Arnie's Army and such other things as Hillside for Arnie and Dayton for Arnie. But this is Jack Nicklaus, the man leading the championship, and what golf he's been playing today. Lost a shot on the last hole, so he's 2 under for the championship and 2 under on today's round. Nicklaus surveying his putt for the birdie. And in that tremendous gallery, I think the cutest line I heard was a young 18 years old with her boy around and listening and yelling, "Go, Arnie," and she said, "Doesn't Jack have an army?" Deliberate, as always, but playing at good speed today, Jack Nicklaus. The big long putt. You saw it did not fall. And Byron, this could really develop into something yet, huh?
Yes, I'm telling you, last year we thought a lot of things were going to happen, and sure enough they did. The last 9 holes at the Open last year.
That's right. Well, Jack Nicklaus has his par on the 11th hole, and now Arnold Palmer. Last year we sure did see it with Arnold Palmer leading by 7 with 9 holes to go, ended up in the famous tie with Bill Casper, and of course lost the playoff the next day. Arnold at +1 now, 3 shots behind Jack Nicklaus. The threat of rain becoming a little more possible all the time. It's quite dark and overcast and damp. And there is Arnold Palmer's birdie on the 11th hole. He has moved 1 shot closer to Jack Nicklaus. The lead is now down to 2. Just about 5 minutes ago, it was 4 shots, and that's the way things happen in this exciting game of tournament golf. Jack Nicklaus -2, Arnold Palmer even, and Dean Beeman +1, and here he is right now on the 14th fairway, just off the 14th fairway, hitting his approach shot on this par 4, 392-yard hole. And it looks like Dean has found sand. So trouble for the man in 3rd place right now. There's more of the colorful excitement to come in the 1967 U.S. Open Golf Championship in just a moment.
Do you dare to be bare everywhere? Can you expose your toes Or do you hide them because of embarrassing, ugly nail fungus that turns nails' colors, makes them thick or brittle? Well, now you can discover how it's possible to get healthier nails, more beautiful nails back. By calling this number, you'll receive a free video and learn about effective oral treatments your doctor has. Remember, there are 20 little reasons you should call for your free video on nail care and treatments. This year, quit covering up because of embarrassing nail fungus. Learn how to lose those shoes and love it. Then dare to be bare. Everywhere. Because fungus-free nails are a bare necessity.
Introducing the Bowflex Power Pro. Bowflex uses patented power rod resistance to give you an incredibly smooth, natural feel for over 60 different health club quality exercises. It's easy to see why a Bowflex was selected by Fitness Magazine as the best home gym. Call right now for your free video and brochure and discover the look you've always wanted with the Bowflex Power Pro.
Last year, Lee Jansen claimed an emotional victory at the U.S. Open. This season, the field is stronger than ever. The championship is up for grabs, and historic Pinehurst #2 is the battleground. Will the 1999 title go to one of the tour's hot players, or will this year's winner surprise them all? The 1999 U.S. Open. Early round coverage begins next Thursday at 11 on ESPN.
Rogaine Extra Strength works for 4 out of 5 men.
What do you mean works?
Regrows hair, or at least stops hair loss.
With my luck, I'll be that 5th guy.
Probably not. But here's our guarantee. Give Rogaine Extra Strength an honest chance. You be the judge. It stops hair loss, or regrows hair, more hair, thicker hair, faster, or we give your money back. Guaranteed. Rogaine Extra Strength works for you, or your money back.
I can't lose. I beat up cars for a living. I'm driving a Hyundai Tiburon in the Pro Rally Series. We've won the Manufacturers' Championship the last 3 years for Hyundai. Hyundai's now stepped up to prove its reliability with America's best warranty. They're standing behind their cars in a big way. If everything is just right, then it builds my confidence as a driver.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
We're back again at the U.S. Open, Baltusrol Golf Club, Springfield, New Jersey. There are the leaders. Arnold Palmer, we are informed, did not get a birdie. That long putt was for a par he had to make on the 11th hole, so he still trails Jack Nicklaus by 3. So does Dean Beeman, who is on the 14th hole right now. Then you see Don January, Billy Casper, and the surprising Lee Trevino, a 28-year-old club pro from El Paso, Texas, right up there with the big boys. And that is Trevino up on the 15th hole. That was his 3rd shot on the par 4, so he could pick up another bogey here unless he makes that putt. That's Lee Trevino. All dressed up in green shirt and brown pants for the final round of the U.S. Open. Last year he won $600 in total prize money. He was 15th in the Mexican Open was his best finish. Now we're back on the 14th hole. This is Dean Beeman, former amateur champion, turned pro just on April 11th, playing in only his 2nd tournament as a professional. He lies 2, though. He'll have to get this close. There's the situation. And it's come up very short, Byron.
Yes, Jim, as you remember last year, unfortunately for him, at the amateur championship at Marion, his bunker play the last 2 or 3 holes was what cost him the championship.
That certainly is true, and here it could be doing it again. He'll have a big, long 40-foot putt for his par 4 on this 14th hole. Here's Lee Trevino now on the 15th with his important putt for a par. Up, couldn't quite get it, and so he falls now down to 3 over. He was only 1 over 2 holes ago, but he's bogeyed the last 2 now. And he's going to take his time with this one. A bogey 5 for Lee Trevino of El Paso. Byron, you have more of your Texans on this golf tour than you could possibly count. Now 14 again. Dean Beeman, the big long putt for a par 4.
That Trevino, Jim, is one of our top players in the state of Texas. Now has won the Texas PGA Championship.
And now Beeman. And he's going to have another putt. Dean now will go to +2 for the championship if he makes this putt. That would put him 1 over on today's round. First came to prominence as a collegiate golfer at the University of Maryland. And there's the bogey 5 for Dean Beeman. Puts him at +2 now in a tie with the man he's playing with, Don January, for 3rd place behind Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer. We'll be seeing them very soon. Nicklaus 2 under for the championship, and Palmer 1 over. Don January could move into a tie with Arnold Palmer for 2nd place if he could sink this putt for a bird on the 14th hole. No. Everybody seems to be trying to make sure they don't leave it short, and a lot of them are going past pretty far, Byron.
Yes, the greens are very slick today. They mowed them very close this morning. The ball is really rolling.
There's the par 4 for Don January, keeping him in a tie for 3rd place with Dean Beeman. Let's move on now to the 15th tee. Reporting that hole for us, our colleague Bill Fleming.
Thank you very much, Jim. The 419-yard 15th has been the 2nd most difficult hole on the golf course. As you see, it's a straightaway shot through a sluice of trees to the target area, which is lined on both sides by huge traps. And as you can see, the fairway in there is narrowed to about 40 yards. Then, guarding an elevated green, from behind you see it, as we see it, these 2 big traps on the left and 3 on the right guard the green. Every one of these holes at Baltus Roll has a significant phrase in the official program about it. This particular hole is described in the program as lovely to look at, delightful to play, and heaven if you par it. It's been played in 0.6 of a stroke over par, according to our IBM Sports Information Center during this tournament. Only the 6th hole has played harder of the 18 on this course. This is the way January and Beeman have done on the 15th. Now there, the average in the field, 4.4 through the 54 holes. And January, as you can see, has that 1 bogey. It's been an interesting hole because it's been kind of a turning point. Nicklaus got a bogey here yesterday. Fleckman got a bogey here.
Short of that bunker, please. Whoa.
It's on the right side in the rough, and as you could hear Don January say, please be short of that bunker because it is very treacherous to try to play into this hole. It's a good 4-iron shot, you see, from the fairway from that distance. And now Dean Beeman, who's not a particularly long player, but who has just been superb in his long iron play. Sounds from the gallery behind there as if it was a fine shot, and it is. It's rolling right down the middle of the fairway, and he will have about 175 yards carry into this beautiful elevated green. We'll be back with more of the United States Open Championship at Baltusrol Golf Club at Springfield, New Jersey. We take time out for this message.
So what you're saying is you can't change your oil every 3,000 miles because you're too busy. So you push it. Just like your cheap brother-in-law at one of those all-you-can-eats. Hey, it's your car. You want to learn the hard way? Be my guest. This is reformulated Quaker State. Protection beyond 3,000 miles under any driving conditions. You ought to change your oil on time, but if you can't, can you say insurance? Quaker State. It's been tested. It works. What more do you need to know?
Truck. The award. The new Chevy Silverado, the Motor Trend Truck of the Year. It's bigger, it's more powerful. It's the truck from Chevrolet.
Don't worry, little one. Daddy's got Tylenol for his headache. Tylenol works on headache pain without the risk of stomach irritation. So before you know it, Daddy's going to be right as rain.
If you want to see the greatest uncut fights of all time, you've got to watch ESPN Classic. Now experience boxing's most unique show, an exclusive look inside the ring with the champ, Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray's Hit Parade. He'll take you through historic battles and give you the inside story behind every hook, jab, and knockout from fights that are totally uncut. Sugar Ray's Hit Parade. Tuesday at 9, only on ESPN Classic.
So close to the action, you got to duck.
Are you old school?
Welcome back to ESPN Classic's presentation of the 1967 U.S. Open Golf Championship. As the 67 Open approaches its conclusion, it is interesting to note that all 10 of the golfers at the top of the leaderboard are American. Now, this is the kind of American domination that didn't always exist. In fact, when the Open first came to Baltusrol in 1903, forget about the Beatles, this was the original British invasion. And of those who made the trip across the pond, no one had more success at the U.S. Open than Scotland's Willie Anderson. Anderson won the Open Championship a record 4 times, tying him with immortals Bobby Jones and Ben Hogan. Remember, this is 1967, and Jack Nicklaus had only 1 Open title to his credit at this point. Even more impressive, though, is that Anderson remains the only player ever to win 3 consecutive Open titles. Now let's return to the 67th Open at Baltusrol on the lower course.
Here's January, whose tee shot caught the rough. He's about 185 yards from this green, and he hits what looks to be a fine shot. Good, strong player, and look at that. From the rough, in his position, it had to be a brilliant shot. He's not more than 12 feet from the pin, and as you could see, he had a great deal of backspin on it, and Byron, that in itself is quite a feat from that high rough.
It certainly is, but Don's a great player. He has a nice full arc, and he really stayed down and threw that shot.
I think we can see here, too, we said earlier about the superb iron play of Beeman. Watch him take a bead on this shot about 170 yards in. It looks to be like about a 4-iron. It doesn't look like a particularly good shot, however. Not just a little bit off to the left, and he's got about a 25-foot putt. Jim McKay.
This is Jack Nicklaus addressing his shot, his second shot on the 13th hole. He had a tremendous, fine tee shot. He can come straight in at the flag. Arnold Palmer is in the rough, however, and has yet to hit. Big divot he took with that short iron shot, and a lovely shot. Look at that. Nicklaus now with about a 3-footer for a birdie 3 here. Now it really begins. Less than 6 holes to go. And only one of these fathers can have the happiest Father's Day of all. That check for $30,000. And there's the graphic of this hole. 392 yards long, par 4. Here is Arnold. He's about 5 feet in the rough. It's not too long. It's not too bad a lie. He has to come up over the trap. And it's a good shot, maybe a little long. On the putting surface, but long, about 20 feet. for his birdie 3. And there's more of the colorful excitement to come in the 1967 U.S. Open Golf Championship in just a moment.
Nasty storm. Wet road. Looks pretty bad, huh? No problem. That's the beauty of Subaru all-wheel drive, the ultimate safety feature. Thanks, kid. See, it automatically transfers power from the wheels that slip to the wheels that grip. And only Subaru puts it on every car they make. And that's no accident. Subaru, the beauty of all-wheel drive.
This time of year, I need AccuHist.
AccuHist Eye Allergy Relief. It's anti-itching, anti-redness, antihistamine relief for your eyes. So it relieves eye allergies fast.
My eyes feel great.
AccuHist from Visine. It gets the itch out.
When you or someone you love is hospitalized, safety matters most. That's why doctors and hospitals choose Tylenol more than any other pain reliever. Tylenol. Take comfort in our strength.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
Jack Nicklaus has a 3-shot lead on Arnold Palmer, a 4-shot lead on Dean Beeman, Don January, and Billy Casper. 4th round play being completed. This is the 67th Open. It has always gained worldwide attention in the past 20, 30, or 40 years, and it'll get more today because via the satellite, live and in color, the people in Great Britain, in Ireland, will be seeing it live and in color. And as you remember yesterday, we had Henry Longhurst as one of our colleagues. He today again is covering the 17th hole, and in a few moments he will be orienting his home folks all about Baltusrol, and we know you'll enjoy hearing him tell them all about it. Right now, back out to Jim McKay.
Thank you, Chris. Arnold Palmer addressing his birdie putt on the 13th hole. We said it's about a 20-footer. There have only been 3 birdies so far on this hole today. Arnold looking at it from the side. There's the huge sign in back of him, right here, Jack. So Jack Nicklaus has plenty of supporters in this gallery, too. Palmer, 3 shots down. Stood over that one a long time, didn't he? And it's short. So Arnold will have to settle for a par 4 here. And remember, Jack Nicklaus has about a 3-footer for a birdie 3 that could put him 4 shots in front, with 5 holes to play. So Palmer gets his par.
Jim?
Yes, Byron?
We were discussing yesterday, you know, about Palmer being such a bold putter, and he hasn't been bold. He's apparently not hitting his putts the way he'd like to because he's left many of them short in this tournament so far.
Jack Nicklaus has sure put his game together at exactly the right moment, hasn't he, Byron?
Yes, he really has. He's been doing a lot of work on his game. He'd been driving badly until he came here for this championship, but he's really played beautifully here.
Well, that -2 could change to -3 if this putt goes in. Heard a little roar there. Don January picked up a bird. He's still in it. There's the birdie 3 for Jack Nicklaus. He is 3 under par for the day for the championship, and he leads Arnold Palmer by 4 shots with 5 holes to go. And now, as Chris indicated, we're going to be joined by the British Broadcasting Company live on the satellite, broadcasting to England, Wales, Scotland, and to Ireland. Gives you some idea of the tremendous interest in this tournament all around the world. Now let's go to our colleague from Britain, Henry Longhurst.
Well now, welcome to Baltusrol, one of the oldest and most highly esteemed clubs in the whole of the United States, at 5:30 on this fine afternoon. And there's the score, look. Jack Nicklaus, 3 under, 4 ahead of Arnold Palmer and of Billy Casper, the reigning champion. They started this morning with young Marty Fleckman, whom you'll remember coming over to Sandwich for the Walker Cup and also playing at Formby in the amateur, leading the entire field by 1 ahead of the 3 great men of golf, Casper, Palmer, and Nicklaus. And Fleckman faded away, and Nicklaus a shot ahead out in 31. There's the clubhouse of this beautiful club. And I think as you see the pictures of this course, you may well be reminded of Wentworth on a fine day when the people are all out in their shirt sleeves. This is Baltusrol's 5th Open Championship. The first was won by a Scotsman, Willie Anderson. And if you remember, in the north of England, the first Ryder Cup match to be played in England at Moortown at Leeds, you may remember Johnny Farrell. He's been professional at this club for 32 years, but we'll stop that now and go straight back. And there's Palmer, 4 behind now, Nicklaus having just got a birdie 3. 5 to play. Nicklaus 4 ahead. And that's just in the rough, but lying perfectly well. There come Nicklaus and Palmer paired together for the second day run. Huge crowds, naturally, following them, and this time it's Nicklaus's day. Now here's Palmer launching into it in slow motion. As popular a figure at home as he is here. Now, we'll ask Byron for comments on Palmer.
Watch how much he turns his body. Shoulders turned, facing down the fairway. Hands, left foot off the ground again, as Wood said. The left knee in toward the right, and then a very strong lead with the left side into the ball. You can see the muscles in his right arm there as he's coming down into the hitting area. The hips turn out of the way so his hands can release and get the great power that he has. You see the hands releasing just as they come in contact with the ball. Then his head does not come up until after the swing, after the club has passed that ball. What a strong swing this man has.
Okay, thank you very much, Henry. This is Marty Fleckman, the young man who has amazed everybody in the golf world by leading this tournament at 2 different points. At the end of the first round, he had 67. At the end of the third round, he led by a stroke. However, he is now 5 over for the tournament, but what a marvelous display of golf he's made. This is on the 13th hole. And I believe Jim McKay can probably see it up there a little better than we can.
Yes, Bill, this is the 13th hole. The twosome of Casper and Fleckman coming up here. Bill Casper tied with Arnold Palmer for second place at the moment, 1 over, the defending champion. Billy hit a fine shot. You see it off to the left of the flagstick. And now here's Arnold Palmer on the 14th hole. 14th rough, Arnold Palmer, having come up and surveyed the shot, now goes back to execute it. Many, many golfers have been in this right rough, and it isn't really that bad, is it, Byron?
No, they're staying to the right because there is a lot of trouble to the left, and if they're even in the left edge of the fairway, why, you have to play over a trap to the green. But from this right side, there's completely open shot to the green.
There you see Arnold Palmer's record in the Open in recent years, going back to 1960, which was the only time that he won it. Since then, as you know, he has lost 3 playoffs. His second shot on this par 4 hole, the 14th, trailing Jack Nicklaus by 4 shots. He must be very bold now. And there he is on the putting surface. He'll have a big long one for that birdie. Here is Don January on the 16th hole, a par 3, putting for his par and making it. It's up under. He's hanging in there. Now back on the 14th fairway again. This is Jack Nicklaus. This is the leader. The man who also has just won this championship once, and he did it in a playoff with Arnold Palmer. Again, watch the grace and power of this swing. We saw it right in this exact position yesterday. There it is. Jack does not appear to be unpleased, and he shouldn't. Birdie territory again for Jack Nicklaus, who may be watching one of the great rounds of U.S. Open golf. There you see the IBM statistics on these two great golfers. Drives on fairway for the tournament. Palmer's had 4 more on the fairway than has Nicklaus. However, greens in regulation, Jack has hit 2 more than Arnold has. And it shows that those beautiful, powerful, graceful second shots, as we just saw, have been doing a great job for Jack. We'll be back with more of the action here at beautiful Baltusrol Golf Club in Springfield, New Jersey, after this message.
Don't get me started on stockbrokers. I had one for the better part of 10 years. Let me tell you something. The only one who was broker was me. With Ameritrade, it's so simple. I sit down at my computer, I want to execute a trade, couple of clicks, trade goes through. $8 a trade. I know that when I wash this boat, it's going to get done right. That's how I feel about Ameritrade. I know that when I make a trade, it's going to go through. I don't have to wait for a stockbroker to call me back. Don't have to worry about his commission. I don't need that extra stuff. I got enough to think about. Stay out of the street.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, where's my hug for your papa? Did you finish that book?
Oh, yeah.
People talk about their finances. They say, I woulda, I coulda, I shoulda.
You didn't read that book, did you? I'll read it.
Not me, I'm doing it. I'm doing it today. My stockbroker says you're going to hate online trading. You can add that to the long list of things he was wrong about.
Call toll-free 800-573-9876 or visit Ameritrade.com. Ameritrade, the way to trade, period.
When you buy a bargain basement PC, what you're really buying is a mystery box. Will there be a monitor? Probably not. Lots of software? Ha! A free year on the internet? 24/7 tech support? Dream on. With a Gateway Essential PC, you know exactly what you're getting. Monitor, great software, award-winning tech support, and free internet access, all for $28 a month. No mystery there. Call 1-800-GATEWAY for a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Celeron processor.
Lee Jansen claimed an emotional victory at the U.S. Open. This season, the field is stronger than ever. The championship is up for grabs, and historic Pinehurst #2 is the battleground. Will the 1999 title go to one of the tour's hot players, or will this year's winner surprise them all? The 1999 U.S. Open. Early round coverage begins next Thursday at 11 on ESPN.
What inspired the Xterra was where sport utes weren't going. They were going upscale, more sophisticated, or they were going toy-like. What was left open was at the very heart and soul of what a sport ute was born to be. An enclosed truck that could get you anywhere, you know, and do anything.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
We return again to Baltusrol, the U.S. Open. Jim McKay reporting from the 14th hole. There you see the graphic of it. This par 4, where you must hit a fine tee shot to the right side of the fairway, as Byron Nelson indicated, over that trap, and then hit up to the green. Both Palmer and Nicklaus have gotten to the green. Palmer will putt first for his birdie 3, a very long one, about 40 or 45 feet. Would you say, Byron?
Yes, that is a real long putt from there. These greens are wonderful, but they have a lot, as we've stated before, little undulating mounds and roads in them that are very difficult to pick the exact line, even though you may roll it just exactly as you want to.
And here is Arnold's attempt now. By the way, those of you who are watching and listening in England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland, We know you're not seeing it in color, but be patient. Won't be long. The BBC will be bringing you these great events in color as well as on the satellite. The continuous putting rule in effect here, so Arnold puts out for his par 4 on the 14th hole. Now Jack Nicklaus will have his birdie attempt, and it's a much more makeable one than Arnold had. Nicklaus 3 under on today's round, 3 under for the championship. You know, he's got just an outside shot, a little bit better than that at Ben Hogan's record of 276, Byron.
Yes, I don't imagine he's thinking about that yet, but he certainly could do it the way he's going today.
Just a year ago, of course, Arnold Palmer seemed to have a new U.S. Open record wrapped up at the end of 13 holes, remember?
Yes, I remember quite well. I'm sure he would like to forget it.
If Nicklaus makes this putt, he will be, in effect, tie with Hogan's record at 4 under par. Par on this course, remember, is 70, or 280 for the 72 holes.
Remember, the last 2 holes are par 5s. Those are Jack Nicklaus's meat.
They sure are. This young man, in just his 6th year as a professional, has won everything there is to win. The Open, the Masters, the PGA, the British Open. And one of only 4 players to win all of those, and there it is. A smiling Jack Nicklaus stretches his lead to 5 shots over Arnold Palmer and Bill Casper, and moves 1 shot ahead of Ben Hogan's U.S. Open record. Here at this most difficult Baldus Roll Golf Club in Springfield, New Jersey. Action on 16. Let's go to Keith Jackson.
Thank you very much, Jim McKay. This is a par 3 hole, 214 yards in total distance, though today they are playing the hole a little shorter. And we'll be carrying the ball from tee to green about 185 yards, which makes it a 5-iron shot for some, a 4-iron shot for some, and now that the air has grown quite heavy as the clouds have become thicker, and we hear in the distance the roll of thunder, so the rain clouds are in the offing, and it's become quite heavy. So we're anticipating the leaders of the tournament here on this par 3 hole. But right now, let's follow them more closely with Bill Fleming on 15.
And as they walk up to the 15th tee, which is back in a little knoll of trees, they look out to this beautiful fairway, and this tremendous crowd has broken all existing records. Up until today, for 3 rounds, over 61,000 fans, and a good 20 to 25,000 more here today. The old record was 74,000 set last year at Olympic, and that included the playoff. It couldn't have been more electrifying, the way this lead has jockeyed back and forth, and of course with the popularity of Marty Fleckman, an amateur, leading it at 2 different stages, it really has developed into some great proportions. And now as you look back into that area, 419 yards away from the green itself, Jack Nicklaus, one of the game's greatest hitters, will try to split the middle of the fairway so that he can have about a 6-iron into the green. Byron Nelson may wish to comment on this particular swing because he can really let it out.
He really has lots of power. Watch how high his hands go. And he really moves through that, releasing his hands in the lower part of the swing.
It looks like it's gone over to the golfer's left, and it has carried the trap, which is very fortunate. And there is a case where the big hitter gets a great advantage here because one not quite as strong would be in a very difficult spot. However, that is in the rough on the left side and has carried the bunker easily by 40 yards. Might open the door a little bit for Arnold. He made a birdie here to take the lead away from Jack Nicklaus in the second round. Oh, what a shot that one is. Perfect position on the right side of the fairway, and Arnold will have certainly not more than a 6-iron into this green, which is elevated as you can see. Now let's take a look in color slow motion of the swing.
Watch that club head stays low to the ground as it goes back. A lot of turn on the left side, weight moves over onto the right. Left heel comes off the ground, hands real high at the top of the backswing. That's where he gets his tremendous power. Now he has large, strong legs. Watch how he uses these as he comes through, how he stays down to the ball, head down, arms, hands releasing in the lower part of the swing, left side moving out of the way so the hands in the club can go straight through on the line down the fairway. Real high finish because the hands have reached a high position at the top of his backswing.
Nicklaus, with rounds of 71, 67, and 72, turned the front side today in an unbelievable 31. And he now has a 5-stroke lead over Arnold Palmer, Billy Casper, and Don January. The 1967 U.S. Open Golf Championship from Baltusrol Golf Club continues in just a moment.
Things that make you go, break it down. Things that make you go.
The crispy, juicy chicken sandwich at Burger King at just 99 cents. The taste isn't the only thing that makes you go.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
Remember life in the fast lane?
I do.
First you meet, then you get married, and things slow down.
Yeah, right.
To help you keep up, drive the supercharged Regal GS Sports Sedan. Plenty of room, standard traction control, and the most power in its class. And now, Regal comes with something that'll make it even easier to drive. Regal by Buick, official car of the supercharged family.
Now you can get weekend calls for 2.5 cents a minute with Sprint 1000. Because there's never enough time during the week, Sprint has the new weekend plan that's just right for people who need all weekend to talk. Call now and switch to Sprint 1000. You'll get 1,000 weekend minutes of calls every month for just $25. That's as little as 2.5 cents a minute. Think of the possibilities. He works in Washington. She works in Washington. He's booked all week. She's booked all week. Now getting together all weekend is so simple. Just switch to Sprint before June 30th and start getting your weekend calls for as little as 2.5 cents a minute. From midnight Friday till the late show on Sunday. Who says people in Washington are out of touch? Call 1-877-4-WEEKENDS or visit Sprint.com. Get weekend calls for as little as 2.5 cents a minute.
Big Fights Boxing Hour gives you access to the largest boxing library in the world. Here's what you can check out in this library. Rare footage of classic fighters, the stories from outside the ring, and volumes of the greatest action in boxing history. Every week, Al Bernstein puts you ringside for classic fights you can't see anywhere else. Ali, Marciano, Leonard, Lewis, plus hard-hitting fighters every boxing fan ought to know. Big Fights Boxing Hour, Tuesday at 10, only on ESPN Classic.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
This is Bill Fleming reporting from the 15th at the lower course at Baltusrol, Springfield, New Jersey, scene of the 67th United States Open Golf Championship. And we at ABC would like to express our sympathy to Julius Boros, who withdrew from this tournament today because of the death of his mother. Julius has won this tournament twice before. Now Arnold Palmer looking over his shot to the green, and Jack Nicklaus is in the rough and will shoot first. And this is where the power Byron Nelson really tells, because in this very tight rough over there that's 5 inches or so high, Nicklaus will have to come through that ball with that great strength that he has. And he's chosen his club and will hit before Arnold does. What do you imagine it is?
I would think he'd be going with an 8-iron from where he is, because the ball's going to fly a little bit out of this rough, because there must be some grass get between the face of the club and the ball. It will not, so he'd get a little fly, what we call a flying shot out of this.
He's coming up to an elevated green, and the pin position is in a good spot for him because it's on the back side, on the right side, and he has a chance to roll it up should it bounce when it hits up the front of the green. Good high shot. Tremendous divot he took. And up it comes. From there, I would say a splendid shot. It's about 30 feet from the pin. Incidentally, speaking of records, which Jim McKay was earlier with Jack Nicklaus now, if he pars out, tying the record set by Ben Hogan at 276. Nicklaus himself set the amateur record of 282 when he finished second to Arnold Palmer in 1960. And if Marty Fleckman can shoot 72 today, he would break that. So that's something to be thinking about. Oh, and it just did miss the trap on the golfer's right. He is in the little fringe there, as you can see, the little rough that's about 2 inches high, and the ball sitting up very, very well.
Okay, Bill, because this is Bill Casper here, and if he makes this birdie putt, he could move into undisputed possession of second place. And remember, second prize money is $15,000 here. First prize, $30,000 in the U.S. Open. Casper, the defending champion, of course, winner of the dramatic playoff with Arnold Palmer last year. About a 30-footer here. But Casper is still one of the great putters of the game. And that long, just about like everybody else has been on this 14th hole. And Bill now needs this for a par 4. Second leading money winner of all time, just behind Arnold Palmer, just ahead of Jack Nicklaus. Bill started the day at even par. He's now 1 over, headed for a round of 71 should he par in from here. He gets the par on the 14th hole, stays 1 over, tied with Arnold Palmer for second place. Now back to the 15th, excuse me, and Bill Fleming.
And this is Jack Nicklaus, both at long range and close up. This is about 25 or 30 footer. The pin, Byron, you were out here, looked it over with us earlier. It's in a very flat spot on the green, which is an unusual thing to find on the 15th green. There's so many undulations in it.
Yes, but he has to come up over this crown a little bit before he gets there. It's a difficult putt to judge the exact distance. So you can see his putter sitting right by the ball there, a white putter against a white ball. I'm sure he'd like to make it, but he wants to get real close from that distance.
Oh, fine putt. Not more than about 9 inches from the cup. He'll look it over, however, because he realizes every one of these is so important. He's 4 under par for the tournament. If he pars on out, he'd be at 276. A fine par 4 here on the difficult 15th, the second most difficult hole on the golf course. Now Arnold Palmer has a little pitch shot here. Remember, Byron, a year ago, they developed that little bump shot with the wedge because of the rough at Olympic?
I surely do. This one is just about the same thing they had there. This grass is not quite as long, but he'll have to hit down into it and kind of pop it out onto the green.
He almost sank one of these.
Notice how the firm grip he uses on this.
On the 5th hole. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Just slides by about 2.5 feet. So this will be for his par 4. Arnold led this tournament by 1 stroke at the halfway mark. And this is the way they've done as far as 1-putt holes in the tournament. Nicklaus 16, Palmer 15. And look at today, Nicklaus 7 out of 14. Oh, that's an incredible percentage. Well, when you realize that that round, Nicklaus bogeyed the 2nd hole. He birdied 3, 4, 5, bogeyed 6, birdied 7, birdied 8. He bogeyed the 10th, and he birdied 13 and 14. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 birdies today. Arnold Palmer's been playing very steadily, and this will be for a par 4. Very little break at all. And it's a fine par 4 for Arnold Palmer. Remains 1 over par, 5 strokes off the pace. And let's go to Chris Schenkel at 18.
Thank you very much, Bill Fleming. The 18th hole from high up. One of our shots coming from a suspended camera and cameraman on a 200-foot crane, moving down this fairway, which doglegs to the golfer's left from the elevated tee. It's a par 5, as Don January, who is 1 over par for the tournament. Don giving it the long look. And is on the left side of the fairway and just in the rough. On the left side of this hole, you not only have rough trees, but also water. We'll be back here in a moment. Right now, back out to Keith Jackson.
Here on the 16th, Jack Nicklaus selecting a club as we look from behind the green. They'll carry the ball tee to green on this hole, about 185 yards today. And for our friends in England and Ireland who are watching for the first time, let me say there is no fairway on this par 3 hole. As you see here, stretched to its ultimate, it's 214 yards. It's playing a little shorter than that today. Jack Nicklaus, who is the pursued at the moment, he is 4 under par through 15 holes today. He is 4 under par for the tournament, has a brilliant round of 7 birdies and 3 bogeys going. He's trying to break the U.S. Open record. He is being pursued by Arnold Palmer, Billy Casper, and Don January. And Jack Nicklaus' shot here on this par 3 is just on the front edge of the green. And Jack will have a putt of approximately 22 feet at the hole. The ball will break a little bit from right to left. Now it's Arnold Palmer, golf's most dynamic and dramatic figure. And on this day, Arnold has not been able to mount one of his famous charges. The gallery, huge. The attendance record has been broken for a U.S. Open. For the first 3 days, 70,613. Total attendance will be probably better than 90,000 for the 4 days. Arnold Palmer's shot, he has hooked it a little bit. Hits pin high, sets quickly, rolls down into a little swale here in the green, and Arnold Palmer will be putting from about 19 feet. So he is inside of Jack Nicklaus. With a pause in the action here at Baltusrol Golf Club in Springfield, New Jersey, we'll pause for these words.
The kids come first. They're always on your mind. They're always first and foremost there. I'm Cynthia Hodges. I work at Ford Motor Company. I'm an engineer, and I'm also a mom.
We're the people who buy and use WinStar.
We know what it's like to have kids, and that helped us design this car. It's full of ideas that moms will love.
I'm able to open the doors, and they're not blinded by a dome light.
Because you never want to wake a sleeping baby.
That allows me to listen to the music I like, and my kids can listen to what they like in the back.
My mom's favorite type of music is old stuff.
This sensor is really smart. The beeps get faster as you're about to back into something. Beep, 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 beep.
Parents always want the best for their children.
The safety ratings.
Safety was the utmost importance, and the 5-star rating was a big deal.
I designed it for my neighbors. I designed it for my playgroup. I designed it for what's now become a part of my life.
Hey, my mom built that car.
Better ideas, driven by you.
This time of year, I need more than an ordinary eye drop. I need Ocuhist.
Ocuhist eye allergy relief from Visine. It's anti-itching. It's anti-redness. It's antihistamine relief for your eyes. Ocuhist's special antihistamine formula stops the itching and relieves eye allergies fast.
My eyes feel great.
Get Ocuhist eye allergy relief from Visine. It gets the itch out.
Go one-on-one with the legends you'll never forget.
Why I'm in love with classic sports is because it gives people a chance to see for themselves some of the things that we do.
Anybody that gets in my way is going to pay.
I knew I could take on these women in my prime, but the prime was gone.
I got the chance to live my dreams.
The ABA was the most special of times.
Yeah, but I don't remember too well. That's what happens when you play without a helmet.
Go one-on-one, Shap one-on-one. Weeknights at 6:30, only on ESPN Classic.
There ain't over till it's over.
Welcome back to ESPN Classic's presentation of the 1967 U.S. Open Golf Championship. While Jack Nicklaus is closing in on his second U.S. Open title, it's important to note that he was already establishing an unparalleled record in majors that would draw praise from the most legendary golfers of all time. After winning the U.S. Amateur twice, Jack William Nicklaus of Columbus, Ohio, joined the professional tour in October of 1961. Less than 8 months later, he defeated Arnold Palmer in a playoff to win his first U.S. Open at age 21. In the next 5 years leading up to this Open, Nicklaus laid claim to another 5 majors. However, it was in April of 1965 when we began to get a real sense of just how good the Golden Bear might become. After Jack broke Ben Hogan's 72-hole scoring record at the Masters, Bobby Jones, winner of 13 majors, had this to say of the 24-year-old Nicklaus, quote, "Jack is playing an entirely different game, a game with which I am not familiar," end quote. Now, let's return to our action to see if Jack Nicklaus can add yet another major to his growing list of achievements.
This is the 5th United States Open Championship to be contested here at Baltusrol Golf Club. The last victory by Ed Fergall in 1954. 1936 on the upper course, Tony Manero. This is the lower course. The final hole is Don January with a key shot, a wood from the rough, over water, and he is in a battle for second place, tied for it at the moment, and he just makes the rough, short of one of the 5 sand traps that guard this oval green. There you'll see the shot he'll have. It's in the sand trap to the left as we look on, just beyond the trap, and just into the rough.
Right, Chris. He does not have a very difficult pitch from there. The pin is placed very nicely on the green. He have about a 40-yard pitch over this trap, laying just in this 4-inch rough.
Now let's see more of this 7,015-yard course at 16, Keith Jackson.
Thank you, Chris. You're looking at Jack Nicklaus. Jack paced it off. I counted the steps. He is more like 26 feet from the hole as he paced it off. He's got to come up out of a swale, and he'll have to go up over a rather sharp break in the green, and then once the ball is up and rolling, it'll slide from right to left. It's a very slick green, but it has been a rewarding green today for the putt that is struck just right. Jack Nicklaus trying to win his second U.S. Open championship. He's got it by the hole, and the ball broke more than Jack thought it would, so it rolls by about 20 inches. He'll have a tap in here, and from where he will putt this ball, or he'll strike this putt, the ball, unless sharply struck, is liable to slide to his right. He's got some work left right here. Jack 4 under and leading the tournament. Arnold Palmer, Billy Casper, the defending champion, and Don January, all at +1 for the tournament. The leader in the clubhouse right now is Lee Trevino at 283. On our split screen, you just saw Billy Casper's third shot on 15 as he chipped up near the pin. You're looking at Jack Nicklaus putting for a par 3 here at 16. And he slides it in the left side of the cup. So Jack walks away from 16. Arnold Palmer now will be putting. Jack with a par 3 here. Jack Nicklaus pars in on 17 and 18. He will equal Ben Hogan's record of 276, which is the U.S. Open record set at the Riviera Country Club in Los Angeles, California. But 17 and 18 are both par 5s, and as Byron Nelson pointed out a while ago, they're tailor-made for a big guy like Jack. Arnold Palmer, putting for a birdie. Just across the top edge of the cup. And now again, Arnie must work with the very quick grain that lies above the cup here on the 16th hole. In case you wonder what happened to Marty Fleckman, the exorbitant pressure, for one thing, must have caught up with the young man. Don January hitting his third shot on the 18th hole. Don January, one of the pursuers. Now back to Arnold Palmer. Like Don January, 1 over for the tournament. Arnold Palmer's 2-footer for a par, and he gets it. And Billy Casper just tapped in for a par on 15. So the pursuers all remain 1 over par. The leader is Jack Nicklaus, 4 under par through the 16th hole. And now the massive gallery. And Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer move toward the 17th. A massive golf hole, and here is Henry Longhurst to describe it for you.
And here's the 17th, which is the longest hole in the United States Open Championship golf, and I think in championship golf anywhere. They start right down in the trees on the right there, have to drive onto the first island, and if they make 255 yards with the drive, they've got a carry of 200 yards left over that sort of Sahara of bunkers, and then a shot up to the green that varies with the wind. And today it's much more difficult because the bit of wind against, and they've put the flag about 25 feet onto the big green only, just over the bunkers. So here, great advantage to Jack Nicklaus, but nobody can get it in 2. And that's Don January's putt on 18. He'll get his par. That putt was for a birdie. We can almost give it to him. And now we'll go back and watch Palmer off the 17th. 5 behind. And we're behind the green here, and for many minutes past, the crowd's been swarming up each side of this great long hole, 623 yards. Now it's completely surrounded. This is one of the holes where they are measuring the drives. And it's interesting that yesterday were 2 or 3 over 300. Now, today, about 250 is the average. And now we'll be back at the 1967 U.S. Open Championship in just a moment.
You don't get in this kind of shape running on a treadmill. You do it with strength exercise, and I do it with a Bowflex. You know, if you're not working out with strength training right now, you need to. Because if you want to lose weight, you got to add the muscle, and that's why you need a Bowflex machine. It's like nothing else you've ever tried before. We've got over 60 exercises you can do on a Bowflex. You're never going to get bored. You can do a full workout in 20 minutes on a Bowflex machine. You're not going to believe how effective Bowflex is the first time you get on it. Bowflex may look a little different, but that's because we designed it to function correctly. Bowflex uses power rod resistance. Bowflex power rods are so effective that Bowflex guarantees results in 6 weeks or your money back. Try going to the gym and getting a guarantee on results. You won't find it. If you call and get our free videotape, you're going to see an effective workout and see how easy and quick and fun working out with Bowflex is.
Give them something they really need for college. A Gateway Performance PC with an Intel Pentium 3 processor, free printer, and a free year of internet, all for just $45 a month. Call 1-800-GATEWAY.
ESPN Sports Century's 50 Greatest Athletes. He not only redefined his position, he forever changed the way his sport is played. 8 Norris Trophies, 3 consecutive MVPs. Twice he led the league in scoring, assists 5 times. Quite possibly the greatest defenseman of all time. Sports Century athlete number 31, the legendary Bruin Bobby Orr. Friday at 10:30 on ESPN. Presented by General Motors.
Edgar and I have so much in common. It's like we were long-lost brothers.
We both have larger than average ears.
We both have pretty straight hair.
It's creepy.
And get this. We both love the taste of Miller Lite because of the choice hops. It's like we were separated at birth.
Actually, George, I think Miller Lite tastes great because it's smooth.
Excuse me? I like the smoothness. Who are you?
Miller Lite, the great taste of a true Pilsner beer.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
And now we come back to the 17th and the second shots, Palmer and Nicklaus. Palmer has driven 260 yards, Nicklaus 265, Palmer first. And it's right down there in the very center of the course, a long way over the desert of bunkers. Lead him an 8 to the green. That's his shot up to the green. You can see how near to the front of the green they put the pin today. Nicklaus just a little short of Palmer's, and it'll be Nicklaus to play first. He's away on his right of the fairway down there, and he'll have perhaps one club more than Palmer, pitching up over the whole length of the bunkers, and there's about 25 feet between the flag and the bunkers. And now back to Keith Jackson at the 16th.
Thank you, Henry. You're looking at the defending champion, Billy Casper. Don January is in the clubhouse at 281, 1 over par. Billy Casper hitting brilliantly out of the sand, rolls it up within 3 feet of the cup. So, as described earlier for you by Jim McKay, Billy Casper, one of the great sand players of our time, has hit the ball boldly to the cup, and he has a 3-footer left to salvage a par here. And I say salvage because this 16th hole, par 3, has been treacherous throughout the week for those who have missed the green. Billy Casper, now 5 shots behind Jack Nicklaus, playing for second or third money. And now let's go back to 17 and Henry Longhurst.
And here they are marching through up over the first lot of bunkers and waiting to come up and play perhaps an 8 or perhaps even 7 iron. There's quite a bit of wind got up at this hole, and it's against the players. Yesterday it was with them, and they were getting up to the beginning of those big bunkers, sometimes with a drive and an iron. Today it's a very different thing, and most of the drives are less than 250 yards. So I just said Palmer hit 260 and Nicklaus 265, and the longest drive recorded on this hole today was by Tom Weisskopf with 280. Nicklaus, seeing victory in sight, in fact, hit his second with an iron. He couldn't conceivably get to the green because of the bunkers which surround it, and so he played safe down there, and now he's got a perfectly good shot of about 150 yards. There's only about 20 to 25 feet of green once he's got over the bunkers. Shot that presents no technical difficulty, matter of judging the distance. It's Jack Nicklaus, third shot, 17. Absolutely dead straight. Oh, and it's gone back 6 feet and just off the edge of the green. If it had gone that far forward, it would only have been about 5 feet away. It's about 20 or a little more. There it lies. And Palmer with an almost similar shot. Now that'll come back too. And that's one of many that we've seen that have bounced back on this 17th hole. And Casper got a bogey on 16 a moment ago, so that puts him 2 over instead of 1 over. So here are the two leaders, Nicklaus 4 under, Palmer 1 over. Nicklaus leading by 5 shots. It's a great cheer as he comes onto the greens. And I'm very glad for the sake of the people at home who are seeing this late in the evening that they're probably seeing one of the most historic rounds of golf. Nicklaus here has 2 par 5s for a 66 and a record, the United States Open champion, at least equaling the record, 276. Now we go back to the 17th tee, just behind them, the last couple, Casper and Fleckman. Casper 2 over now. And now for Marty Fleckman, having a bad time. Casper right in the fairway there, 17th. And Fleckman having a bad time, 9 over. Started 1 under, and this is not his day. And so now we're back to the scene on the 17th. Jack Nicklaus, about 25 feet. Played 3, par 5. Oh, it could hardly be true. He couldn't have another birdie. Well, that's par 5 for Nicklaus. Having just said he couldn't get another birdie, the fact is, of course, that he can, because the 18th, though it's a par 5, is just about reachable for Nicklaus and the longer hitters. He may yet break the record. He'll have a 5 for a 66. Now, 5 shots behind. They started level, and a great duel between these 2 giants. It's Arnold Palmer, putting to get 1 back. Well, I'm afraid it's too little and too late, but it puts Palmer even with par and 4 behind Nicklaus as they go to the 18th tee, and we'll pass them over to Chris Schenk.
Thank you very much, Henry Longhurst. As we look at Arnold Palmer, and now from our high ABC television camera, you look at the round, elevated green surrounded by 5 traps. Going further out the fairway, there is water, a creek cutting diagonally across the fairway as it bends back toward the elevated tee, 542 yards, par 5. And Jack Nicklaus, in his 6th year as a professional, having played in 13 tournaments to date, is a man, one of 4 players to win all the world's major titles. Here is Billy Casper, the defending Open champion. This is Casper's 2nd shot on the 17th, the long 17th hole. In the fairway to the golfer's right. Billy Casper, who at this point is 2 over for the tournament, he will have a very fine opportunity for an approach to get on the green in regulation. Back again to the 18th hole.
Chris, you know, these 2 players could both reach this green. Very few have, but these are great, strong hitters.
Palmer, who birdied the 17th. As it darkens here in New Jersey, some 45 minutes from Broadway, you see that Arnold Palmer's tee shot has landed in great position to come to the 72nd hole. And now, Jack Nicklaus.
Chris, you could hear someone in the background there. Go get the record. All he has. He's playing it. He's playing an iron. He's not going for the record. He's going to play. He's playing to win this tournament, which is really a smart thing to do.
Of course, Byron, the way he hits irons, I think he might have an opportunity to make the green in 2.
I don't think he'll shoot for the green at 2. I think he'll play from there, play down in front of the green, and then, of course, he might pitch on and make the 4. It's been done many times. I saw him do it, play the 18th hole for PGA Championship in Dallas that way, and made a 4.
In fact, Gardner Dickinson has played 4 rounds here, finishing 4 over par, and he has had 4 4s in the 4 rounds on this 18th hole. From Baldwin Golf Club here in Springfield, New Jersey, golf action continues after these words.
Welcome to Camp Flight 101. To master hang time, you got to make the air your friend. All right?
Yeah. Let's go, people. What you waiting on?
Jump out there and shake hands with the alley-oop. Let's go, let's go. Blood in that basket. He's worried about the landing. Got to worry about the shot. Jump up, not out. Don't tell me I got to bring the shot clock out now. Come on. Ooh, flagrant foul on age 2-0. Come on, man. I want to see more alley. Less oops.
Got a new car with the red tail lights like blue on the corners and it's hung in tight. It's got a rag top and a contour hood. She goes up, and she's rocking. Let's go!
The 1999 Mazda Miata. Set it free, and it'll return the favor.
Used to be, if I want something done right, I called me. It worked. Until I tried to quit smoking. I needed more than me. I got Nicorette. Nicorette helped me 2 ways. I used it on a regular schedule to help prevent my cravings, and for unexpected cravings, I was ready with an extra piece. I used to be a slave to cigarettes. Nicorette helped me hang on, helped me win. Now that I'm nicotine-free, I gotta tell you, it feels good to win.
Now Nicorette is available in mint. What a refreshing choice. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
Sexy thing, you. Where did you come from, baby?
The crispy, juicy chicken sandwich at Burger King. It might not be a miracle, but at just 99 cents, you gotta admit, it is kinda sexy.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
Last year, Lee Jansen claimed an emotional victory at the U.S. Open. This season, the field is stronger than ever. The championship is up for grabs, and historic Pinehurst #2 is the battleground. Will the 1999 title go to one of the tour's hot players, or will this year's winner surprise them all? The 1999 U.S. Open. Early round coverage begins next Thursday at 11 on ESPN. You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
The United States Open is in its final stages here at the Baldwin Golf Club. 7,015 yards, par 70. Jack Nicklaus, the tournament leader, is 4 under par, playing to the 72nd hole. His tee shot, Byron, with an iron, went off to the golfer's right.
He played it off the right, I'm sure, because the only way that really with an iron that you could get in trouble on this last hole would be try to go down the left-hand side where, as you've seen on our pictures here before, there is water along the left.
Casper's third shot on 17. A long putt for a birdie 4 on this 623-yard par 5 17th. Back to 18 now, going from the green back out to the fairway. Jack Nicklaus in the rough with his tee shot.
Chris, it's my opinion, if the lie is very bad at all, he'll play short of the water and then play from there onto the green, because leading by 4 strokes, you see it's lying all right. So we'll just have to wait and see what he's going to do from here. But it's quite a distance over the water from where he is.
On the right of the screen, the gentleman with the dark armband, the blue armband, is Mr. Joseph C. Dye, Executive Director of the United States Golf Association, who is directing traffic now. And, of course, the folks at R&A and St. Andrews know all about Mr. Dye, as do most golfers the world over. The United States Golf Association, of course, the ruling body of golf here in our country. We're awfully proud of people like Mr. Joseph Dye, Mr. Ward Fauché, its president, and Vice Presidents Howard Hardin, Phil Strubing, Bob Howes, Frank Brand, and Bud Semple. And, of course, These committee men who volunteer their services have seen this man, Jack Nicklaus, win 2 amateur championships sponsored by the United States Golf Association, and he is in the process of winning his 2nd United States Open championship as a professional.
Chris, you saw him drop the ball there. He was lying by some obstruction there, and Joe, is an obstruction you give the right to drop the ball, and Joe Dye gave him the permission to drop the ball. There's no penalty involved whatsoever.
Byron, what will Jack Nicklaus be planning with his 2nd shot here on the 72nd hole?
I would assume, since he's playing it safe, that he'll continue to play it safe unless he has an exceptionally good lie. I think he'll play it down short of the water and then play his 3rd onto the green from there, which is only about 150 yards.
Byron, you won the championship in 1939, and I know at that time you certainly would have liked to have had a 4-shot lead playing the 72nd hole, but it didn't turn out that way. You wound up in a playoff to victory.
Yes, I sure did, and it was a tough one. Craig Wood and Denny Shute, we tied and played off again with Craig.
You see from an elevated view just what Jack Nicklaus is looking at. His 2nd shot on this par 5.
You see what he's doing. He's got another pitching iron here. He's going to pitch the ball short of the water, taking no chance whatsoever. I saw this man play very heady golf and winning the British Open last year, and that's what he's doing at this point.
The current British Open champion, the man that won the United States Open champion in 1962, winning it in a playoff at Oakmont with Arnold Palmer. Previous rounds, Nicklaus has 2 birdies and a par 5 on this 18th hole. Arnold Palmer has 2 4s and a 5 also. Byron, they may get in before they get wet because the clouds overhead look pretty dangerous and nasty.
You see, Arnie is going with the wood here. If he makes a par, he finishes 2nd, and he might make a birdie and move in a little closer to Jack. He played a beauty. It's just almost an exact same spot that Don January was just a few moments ago, just in front of the green in the edge of the long rough.
And speaking of Don January, he is the leader in the clubhouse, shooting a 70 today. He's in at 281, which is 1 over par. Lee Trevino, 3 over at 283. Bob Golby, Dean Beeman, Gardner Dickinson in at 284. Kel Nagel, Art Wall, and Dave Marr in at 285. Al Balding, Gary Player, and Wes Ellis at 286, which is 6 over. Tom Weiskopf is in at 287. At 288, Jerry Pittman and Dutch Harrison. At 289, Paul Harney, Bob Burway, and Miller Barber. At 290, amateur Bob Murphy with a fine round of 69 today. And the son of Johnny Farrell, Billy Farrell, with a 70 today and a 290. Now Jack Nicklaus's 3rd shot.
He can reach the green there. He has a long iron, and I'm sure he'll be shooting right at it this time. Because the only problem he could get into would be a sand trap.
And here it is, onto the green, rolling, rolling, rolling.
That was a magnificent shot, Chris. He used a long iron of some description, probably 2 or 3 iron, only about 18 feet in front of the hole. 2 putts for 276, 1 putt.
At 17, Billy Casper putting for a par 5. And Billy Casper gets it and remains 2 over for the tournament. There's more of the colorful excitement to come at the 1967 United States Open Golf Championship in just a moment.
That's one race that I wish I could run over one more time.
The legendary Daytona 500 has broken a lot of hearts.
I was way out front in 1981, and that thing ran out of gas.
In 74, I blew a tire with 12 laps to go.
But the biggest heartbreak of all would be trying to get into Daytona International Speedway using an American Express card. So if you want to enjoy the heart-pounding excitement of Daytona, bring your Visa card, official card of NASCAR.
My girlfriend left me here at Daytona. I sure miss that car.
For the 1% of the world that expects more from a truck, there's the all-new GMC Sierra. Completely redesigned with the first ever standard 4-wheel anti-lock disc brakes on a half-ton pickup and our largest cab ever. 1%ers, your wait is over. Come in now during the National Sierra Invitation Days. It's your chance to make comparisons, not compromises.
If you don't get AC Delco brand name parts, you'd better get a good brand name shoe.
AC Delco. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it.
No matter what you drive or what it needs, ask for dependable AC Delco automotive parts. They're the ones I rely on. AC Delco. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it.
The NBA Finals. They bring out greatness in those that are good and make heroes out of those that are great. 1970, the Knicks and Lakers hit the hardwood as Chamberlain and Reed go one-on-one. Then Larry Bird and Magic Johnson define the 80s. And the NBA's best, Michael Jordan, begins the Bulls dynasty in the 90s. 16 games spanning 3 decades. Don't miss the ultimate NBA Finals, only on ESPN Classic, all day Saturday.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
Although he did not start out in the lead today, Jack Nicklaus, the 1962 Open champion, comes to this elevated round green, the 72nd hole, and listen to the applause. 4 under par, a 4-shot lead. He needs a birdie 4 on this hole to break the record of Ben Hogan. Ben with a 276 at Riviera in Los Angeles in 1948. IBM, a great American company, has certainly been kind to us with their IBM Sports Information Center. Electronic computer marvel. And there you see their showing of the tournament leaders. Nicklaus, 4 under. Palmer is in undisputed second position with Don January in third, followed by Casper. Then Lee Trevino, Dean Beeman, Gardner Dickinson. Now Arnold Palmer's third shot.
Chris, he'll be using a wedge here, pitching wedge. Has about 30 feet between the little rough guarding the green and the pin. Ball will come out rather fast with very little spin.
Arnold Palmer in a big dogfight for second place. Puts it up close, less than 3 feet for his birdie 4. And if he can make a 4, it'd be a round of 69 and a 279 total. Other than Jack Nicklaus, he would be the only man to be under par through 72 holes of play, Byron.
Yes, he's played wonderfully. Just so happens sometime you play well, somebody else plays better, and that's what Nicklaus has done today. He's played magnificent golf.
Byron, a mutual friend and, of course, one of the well-known golfers the world over, Mr. Bob Jones, who won this championship 4 times, once said of Jack Nicklaus that he plays a game other than most of us play.
Yes, he really does. He has so much power. He seems to never become perturbed.
And this is the putt that could break the record we spoke of a moment ago.
I'm sure at this point, since he has the tournament won, without a question of a doubt, that he will be trying to go for this putt because he would, I know, would like to break the record. It seems as though this man is made to break records. It'll break slightly to his right at the hole, but there's very little break, not much. His main problem on this one will be guessing the speed. He's been putting rather well all day, so I'm sure he'll give this one another good roll. Incredible record this man's compiled, Chris, in a short span of time. For the U.S. Open record. It's going to the right. Nope. Nope.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen, a United States Open record of 275 for 72 holes, and the first to give him a handshake and a big smile is his friend Arnold Palmer. Jack Nicklaus with a round of 65, 5 under par. On a practice round here, he had a 62. So he puts together 71, 67, 72, and 65.
That was really something, Chris.
Now,
Arnie has this for a birdie 4 for 69.
Arnold Palmer is 1 under par after 72 holes of play for the United States Open Championship, which Jack Nicklaus.
Chris, there's only 3 men that have birdied the 17th and 18th holes at the same time. There's Gabe Brewer, Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer.
In other words, the cream comes to the top, doesn't it?
Right.
There is the moment in the background. Hord Harding and Joseph Dye, USGA officials who have watched this youngster come from Columbus, Ohio, play to 2 United States Amateur Championships, 2 United States Open Championships, 2 Masters titles back-to-back, and the British Open defending champion. The 1967 United States Open Golf Championship from Baltusrol Golf Club continues in just a moment.
When you buy a bargain basement PC, what you're really buying is a mystery box. Will there be a monitor? Probably not. Lots of software? Ha! A free year on the internet? 24/7 tech support? Dream on. With a Gateway Essential PC, you know exactly what you're getting. Monitor, great software, award-winning tech support, and free internet access, all for $28 a month. No mystery there. Call 1-800-GATEWAY for a Gateway Essential PC with an Intel Celeron processor.
Who got their real hair back at Bosley Medical? Mike? Carl? Or maybe Drew? Well, they all did. These are real people who were looking for real results.
I wanted something natural, real hair, and that's what I've got.
It's simple. They take hair from where you have it, and they put it where you need it.
I wash it, I get a cut. It's my own real hair growing on top of my head.
Bosley Medical is the world's most experienced hair restoration practice. For over 25 years, they have performed more than 130,000 procedures using the innovative micrografting techniques pioneered by founder Dr. L. Lee Bosley.
Each surgeon at Bosley Medical is board certified and individually trained by me.
So if you want to have your own naturally growing hair back, call this number for more information. We'll send you this free video and in-depth guidebook that gives you the real facts about hair restoration. There's no cost and absolutely no obligation. So take control of your hair loss. Call now and get the real results you've been looking for.
It's your real hair. You can't do better than real.
The hair is big, the tube socks are high, and the action is down and dirty.
Can you dig it?
All the moves are on ESPN Classic, roller derby style.
Ouch.
Right on. The forces of good versus some bad.
Shut your mouth.
So join the pack for a crash course in old school. I'm talking roller superstar.
You said it.
Friday and Saturday late nights only on ESPN Classic. Baby, it's Dynamite.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack Nicklaus, a few moments ago, with a birdie 4 putt on the 72nd hole of play, has broken a United States Open record held by Ben Hogan of 276, and watch it once more.
It appears that this putt is going a little bit to his right, but as it gets to the hole, watch it curve right into the hole. He read the green just beautifully. This gave him the lowest score of 275 ever in U.S. Open history.
And the last time this round, or 72, 4 rounds was bettered, was in 1948 by Ben Hogan at Riviera. Jack Nicklaus, 5 under for the tournament, a round of 65 today. Arnold Palmer with a birdie 4 on the final hole, had a round of 69, finishing at 279, which is 1 under. There you look at the consistency analysis, IBM, of Jack Nicklaus. He didn't have an eagle, Byron, but look at the birdies.
He had a lot of those birdies, didn't he? He made 16 of them, and most of them starting at the 17th hole yesterday and through today. I never saw so many birdies.
He made 8 today.
And he birdied 17 and 18 yesterday. That's 10 in the last 20 holes that he's made.
It's very difficult to beat that, isn't it?
I don't know how you would do it.
Billy Casper, the Open champion at Olympic last year, with his 3rd shot to the 72nd hole.
And he needs this putt, Chris, to tie Don January at 1 over for the tournament for 3rd place.
The winner gets $30,000. Second is worth $15,000. Third is worth $10,000. And the top 15 will be exempt from qualifying for next year's United States Open, which will be held in Rochester, New York at Oak Hills. The top 16 that finish in this championship will be invited to the Masters. And here is Marty Fleckman, a tremendous amateur, with his 3rd shot.
within 3 feet, Byron.
Yes, that was a beautiful shot by Marty. I'm sure that he feels rather dejected, but he's played a great tournament and has really played wonderful.
The University of Houston and all the folks in Port Arthur, Texas, can be very proud of this fellow who had a 38 on the front 9 today, and at this moment is 9 over. Billy Casper is 2 over and has a very big putt coming up. If he can make it, he will tie Don January of Dallas, Texas.
Chris, this would mean quite a little bit of money, and he's putting out just a little bit of a swale. Putt will go almost straight, move to his. It's almost straight.
The greens, the fairways, the bunkers, all prepared beautifully by Mr. Ed Casey, the golf course superintendent here at Baldus Row, has been for many, many years, and this man was one of the first to praise him for the job that he had done here for the 67th United States Open.
Chris, the galleries have been enormous, but they've been the best behaved large gallery I've ever seen in golf, and I've seen a lot of them.
There you see part of the gallery Byron was talking about. Billy Casper with this tap in. A par 5 for a round of 72 and a 72-hole score of 282, which is 2 over par. Would have him finishing 4th in this championship.
Chris, there were a lot of people said that anyone of shoot of that score would have won this championship on this great course.
Marty Fleckman, who played on the Walker Cup team. This is for a birdie 4. A tap in for a 5, a round of 80, and a finish in at 289, joining Paul Harney, Bob Burway, and Miller Barber at that point. Very dejected young man, playing in his first United States Open, Byron. He was a man that led after the first round, lost it as Arnold Palmer took over after 36, regained it after 54 holes of play, and only to see Jack Nicklaus in a record-breaking performance win this championship. For him, his second victory. And Arnold Palmer, who won it in 1960 and has been involved in 3 playoffs since, finishes second, 4 shots away. 2 great champions, in fact, 3 and 4, right up there at the top.
Right, Chris. In these great championships, they always have the great players come to the top.
We'll be back to talk to Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, right here at the beautiful Baldus Row Golf Club in Springfield, New Jersey, after this message.
The Maxima has a legendary power plant. It's been known as a state-of-the-art engine for a long time. This one is even better. The engineers figured out a way to get 32 more horsepower into the car to bring it up to a total of 222. You can feel that right away as soon as you push the accelerator. Whoa.
Sexy thing, you. Where did you come from, baby?
The crispy, juicy chicken sandwich at Burger King. It might not be a miracle, but at just 99 cents, you gotta admit, it is kinda sexy.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
He works in Washington. She works in Washington. They get together on the weekends for as little as 2.5 cents a minute. Who says people in Washington are out of touch? Call Sprint at 1-800-PIN-DROP now.
You know, these days lots of deodorants are talking antibacterial protection. Fact is, every deodorant is antibacterial, so it's not about that at all. It's about whose deodorant lasts longer. High endurance. Its 24-hour formula evaporates less quickly than the leading stick. Old Spice guarantees it, or they'll buy you a stick of yours. If you want odor protection that really lasts, High endurance exceeds the need.
Last year, Lee Jansen claimed an emotional victory at the U.S. Open. This season, the field is stronger than ever. The championship is up for grabs, and historic Pinehurst #2 is the battleground. Will the 1999 title go to one of the tour's hot players, or will this year's winner surprise them all? The 1999 U.S. Open. Early round coverage begins next Thursday at 11 on ESPN.
You're watching the 1967 U.S. Open on ESPN Classic.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the leaders. Jack Nicklaus is the 67th United States Open champion in record-breaking fashion. You go on down the list, and with our IBM computing system, Sports Information Center will go through the entire field of 65 players. So your favorite, you will see his score, and here they are. The score of 5 over, and of course that is after 72 holes of play. Right here on this round green was where Jack Nicklaus, with a birdie 4 and a round of 65, broke the United States Open record with a total of 275. Arnold Palmer finishing second, 4 shots away, 279, 1 under par. Billy Farrell, the son of Johnny Farrell, who won the championship in 1928, finishing 10 over with a round of 70 today. Ken Venturi, you see him there, 11 over, former Open champion, and Ben Hogan, who's won it 4 times, 12 over. These are final scores through 72 holes of play. A field of 150 started, 135 professionals, 15 amateurs. 2 amateurs completed 72 holes of play, Marty Fleckman and Bob Murphy. And there are all 65 finishers, 72 holes, and now let's go down to Jim McKay.
Thank you very much, Chris. And here they are, the 2 men who battled it out on these links this afternoon at this golf course for the United States Open Championship. Arnold Palmer, who finished second, and Jack Nicklaus, the 67th U.S. Open champion. Jack, congratulations on a fantastic round of golf.
Thank you very much, Jim.
And Arnold, it gets tougher all the time, doesn't it? When we start out today, it sure looked like a round of 69 might win this championship.
Well, we thought it would be a little closer than it was anyway, Jim. Thought Jack had a wonderful round. He did everything well. He drove well, hit his irons in close, and putted exceptionally well, and made just a sort of shambles of the rest of us in the tournament. But it seems like I'm getting in this habit of finishing second in the Open Championship.
You sure are. Well, let's see, 3 playoffs you've lost in the last 5 years, and one of them to this fellow, 1962.
That's right. 3 playoffs, and I think I finished second this time, so that's about 4 times in the last 5 years.
You sure did finish second this time with a wonderful second. Your official earnings are only, I think, $106,000 now.
Well, Jim, that is some little consolation for not doing a little better here today.
Jack, what parts of this round come to your mind first off when you think about it?
Well, Jim, of course, I bogeyed the second hole, which put me behind right off the bat, and then I was fortunate enough to hold 3 straight putts. At 3, I hold about a 12-footer, and after yesterday's round, which neither Arnie and I, either one of us putted very good, it sort of got me started, and then I hit it in close at the 4th hole and made it, and made about a, I don't know, 13 or 14-footer at the 5th hole for birdie. And this sort of got me going, and then I bogeyed the next one, and all of a sudden I hold another long one when Arnie was in close. And, well, he missed. And of course, Arnie played well, I thought, today, and didn't get a few breaks on the putts that he might have gotten, and I got a few that, that I was fortunate enough to get, which was really the difference.
Have you fellows, as you can recall, ever played the last 2 rounds of an important championship like this together before?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so,
I think this is the first time, Jim.
They'll be talking and writing about these 2 rounds of this head-to-head confrontation of the 2 greatest golfers of our time for a long while. Jack, when you stood on the 18th tee, was there a big decision to make in your mind? You must have known you were right after Hogan's record.
Well, Jim, I really wasn't worried about the record. All I could think of is what Arnie said last year. He forgot about the record and tried to win, or forgot about winning and tried to make the record. And I remember Dick Mayer came here, I guess, on the last hole and hit a driver and hooked it off and made 7 on the last hole to lose it. And I figured there was if I hit driver, I had a chance of making 7. If I hit any other club, I didn't have any chance of making 7. So I figured if I hit a 1-iron anywhere down out of the creek, and then just no matter what happened from there, I felt I could make 6. And that's really all I was worrying about. I was trying to win the tournament first, and if I got the record, that's really what I was interested in.
But perhaps you would enjoy seeing that putt, by the way, the last shot in this tournament. They gave you the championship and the record. I think we can see it over here. We'll roll that up right now. Yeah?
Not a bad putt either, was it, Jim?
Not a bad one at all, Arnold. And here it is. How long would you say it was, Jack?
I'd say about 22 or 3 feet, I think, Jim.
22 or 3-footer for the United States Open Championship and for the record. And here it comes. That was right down the middle, son.
Well, it was a bit lucky, Jim. You know, you're just trying to coast the ball up close and make sure you give it a chance, and the darn thing fell in.
Well, Jack, I'm sure you don't know this, and a fellow from Columbus just told me. He said the last time that the U.S. Open finished on Father's Day was in 1962, and you won at that time. So you have to work out the schedule so they do that way every year.
My father called me this morning and reminded me. He says, how about another Father's Day present?
Is that right?
Right.
You know, we saw your birdie on the 4th hole today. We have so many cameras around here this time. We're going back further and further, and we could see that 4th hole. Is that what you said? We have that been racked up now? Do we see that birdie at Jack's on number 4, that classic par 3 hole here? That's the one, you know, where you go up over the water and over the seawall. There you are, gentlemen.
All right, this is about a 4-footer downhill, I think, Jim.
Jim, I looked at these things all day. I think I'm going to excuse myself and go to Latrobe. Thank you very much.
Arnold, thank you very much. And congratulations on a great second-place finish. Jack, again, my congratulations to you. I wonder how much you were aware of that gallery. I've seen both you and Arnie with these tremendous galleries before, but there seemed to be a vibrancy and a life to this thing that was...
It was pretty wild, Jim. It's about as wild a gallery as I've ever seen as far as noise and yelling. And, well, I think the people were excited, and they wanted to see good golf. And, of course, a lot of them were cheering for Arnie, a lot of them were cheering for me. And I think that these are things that golf's growing and building. And although it gets wild at times, it's certainly nice to see excitement in golf.
Well, I saw a number of banners out there. Right here, Jack was one. Somebody had a life-size picture of Arnie out there.
Yeah.
It must be getting more distracting all the time. How about the British Open, Jack? Will you be going over to defend your championship?
Sure will be, Jim. I'm going over about a week ahead of time, and I'm looking forward very much to playing Hoylake.
Well, again, congratulations on your second United States Open, on breaking the record, on everything. I sure hope we'll see you soon again up here in the winner's circle at the edge of the green.
Thank you very much, Jim.
With another U.S. Open title under his belt and now the 72-hole scoring record as well, Nicklaus had truly established himself as perhaps the game's dominant player. At age 27, he had already won 7 majors in 6 years as a professional, equaling Arnold Palmer's mark for his entire career. What put Nicklaus in a class by himself was his complete game. In addition, he also possessed in abundance golf's most important intangible, mental toughness. His ability to stay focused throughout an entire round was unparalleled. What also helped him immeasurably that day was his superior knowledge of his surroundings. Nicklaus had always been an ardent student of the courses he was playing, which later fueled his involvement in golf course design. He wrote in his autobiography, My Story, quote, "One's true opponent in every contest is never another player or even the entire field, but always the course itself. A realization that has been common to all the great champions, and I believe a major contributor to their successes," end quote. Nicklaus had studied Baltusrol and won because of his unyielding concentration and astute knowledge of the course. That, and the fact that he simply played better than everyone else. Thanks for watching ESPN Classics presentation of the 1967 U.S. Open Championship. I'm Jimmy Roberts. ESPN Classic continues in just one moment.
This is ESPN Classic.
Welcome to ESPN Classic. I'm Jimmy Roberts. Today we take a look back at the 1968 U.S. Open Championship held at the Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York. You know, Oak Hill had hosted the Open on 2 other occasions. The first time was 1956, when Cary Middlecoff won the second of his national championships by outlasting Julius Burroughs and Ben Hogan. More recently, in 1989, Curtis Strange won the second of his 2 consecutive Opens at Oak Hill. Back in '68, Jack Nicklaus was the prohibitive favorite. He was seeking his second consecutive title. In the first round, the Golden Bear started out with a 2-over par 72, 5 shots behind the leader, Bert Yancey. The 29-year-old Yancey, who had fired a 67, was seeking his first major championship. Meanwhile, Lee Trevino was lurking 2 shots behind Yancey. Trevino was still searching for his first career tournament victory. While Nicklaus played better in the second and third rounds, he still remained 7 shots behind Yancey, the leader. The former West Point cadet had followed his 67 with a 68, and then on Saturday, a 70. He had led all 3 rounds and was now at 5 under par. Trevino was having a good week, too. All 3 of his rounds were in the 60s, and he was 1 shot behind the leader. So as the final round unfolded, the Golden Bear began to growl with birdies at the 3rd and the 4th holes, but then he missed reasonable chances at 7 and 8. Other notable players, including Arnold Palmer and Billy Casper and Gary Player, were struggling. Therefore, it seemed as if the championship would come down to the game's most dominant player, Nicklaus, versus 2 young men, Trevino and Yancey. Let's join the coverage with Jim McKay.
This is the Oak Hill Country Club. The last time the Open was here was 12 years ago, in 1956. The man who won it on that occasion is seated next to me, Dr. Cary Middlecoff. Here's a look at the 14th hole once again. Billy Casper is indicated by CA. Bob Charles is indicated by CH. That's where their tee shots landed. They'll be coming now with the wind behind them, and that has become a very significant and a very recent factor, Cary.
Yes, yes, it has, Jim.
Sorry, Cary. Action at 18. Chris?
Davy Marr, here at the 18th hole, which is 449 yards long, and there you see where the ball landed. This is a hole that bends to the golfer's right, and at the elbow is a sand trap, which they try to avoid. Wingfoot, protege of Claude Harmon, Dave Marr. Back to Jim McKay.
Okay, once again, here we are at the 14th hole, 327 yards long, and this is Bob Charles.
About a 105-yard shot, I'd say, Jim.
Now, the wind behind him, let's see where this ball goes. Some of them have been going over. That's the point. Why don't you explain that now, Cary?
Well, the green is a double level. The front of it's low and rather soft, and the back is high. And I told you earlier, Jim, I think if I felt like I was driving straight, I would use a driver here and try to get far enough up to just lag the ball onto the front and let it bounce up. But comes Billy, and he's going straight at it if he's got the distance. And there it goes back down the hill.
So they'll both have quite sizable putts for their birdie threes. Matter of fact, Casper's ball just stopped rolling backwards now. Let's go to our colleague from England, Henry Longhurst, at the 16th.
And here on the 16th, we have the Australian Bruce Devlin playing with Dan Sykes. Both of them 6 over par for the tournament. Both of them 1 over today. That is Dan Sykes on the right. Both of them level. He has a putt here of 30 to 35 feet. Wants 3 fours for a 71 today. 6 over for the tournament. Dan Sykes. See how the flag's tucked away behind that bunker on the left. Should come round. Very nearly does, and that's a very fine putt indeed. Stone dead for Dan Sykes. Now par 4 at the 16th, leaving him 6 over for the tournament and 1 over for today. And now Bruce Devlin for Australia. Bruce had a very successful career as a golfer after, as Jim said, turning golfer from plumber. And then he, if I may be forgiven the pun, he plumbed the depths again and got so bad at golf a year or two ago that he almost gave up. And then suddenly he came right back again. Bruce Devlin, this time from about 14 feet on the 16th. And Casper at the same moment. Casper on the left. There's a beauty for Bruce Devlin. And now up comes Billy Casper, but not up far enough. And so now back to Jim McKay.
All right, Henry. Well, this, of course, is at the 14th hole where Casper and Bob Charles are playing out. Casper will now have that putt for a par. Charles will be putting for a birdie.
Jim, I've got something funny happened just a few minutes ago. Bob Erickson was on the 15th tee, which is exactly behind the screen and very close. And he had just taken his last waggle. And Rod Funz's second shot carried too far and ran over the green, down between the two traps, and right between Erickson's legs. Bob Charles about 25 feet, Casper marking his ball, because even with continuous putting, you're allowed to not have to step in your opponent's line. It is your playing partner's option, though, not the player himself.
If you've just joined us, Lee Trevino is leading by 2 shots. He has 8 holes left to play over Bert Yancey and by 3 shots over Jack Nicklaus. We saw them at the 9th hole, and soon they will be coming within range of our cameras again at 13. Charles will take his par 4 here, which will leave him still 5 over for the championship, 1 over on today's round. Although they're using the consecutive putting rule here, Bill Casper did not putt out, because had he would have stood on the line of Bob Charles. Billy Casper, so well remembered 2 years ago at Olympic when he charged from behind, aided by bad play on the part of Arnold Palmer in the final 9. To come from 7 shots back to tie and then to win the playoff the next day. Casper getting his par 4 on the 14th.